What's up, guys? This is Ray, and welcome to Asian Films. And this is August Patreon-sponsored movie review. And the movie we'll be talking about is Gintama 2, Rules Were Made to Be Broken. Gintama 2, if the name isn't clear enough, is a 2018 sequel to the 2017 hit live-action adaptation of the shonen manga of the same name. And to be honest, Gintama 1, it was one of my favorite movies of last year. It's one of what I think is one of the best anime or live-action adaptations of an anime to date. And Gintama 2, when they announced Gintama 2, I was definitely looking forward to it, so I knew I had to check it out in the cinemas. Gintama 2 pretty much brings back everyone from the first movie, and it's directed once again by Fukuda Yuichi, who's famous for really weird comedies such as Hentai Kamen and The Hero Yoshihiko, both works of which I'm a big fan of. And this stars once again Oguri Shun in the lead as Gintoki. So Gintama 2, the story follows Gintoki, Kagura, and Shinpachi, and they're struggling to pay rent, and they take on all these odd jobs just so they can make do. But all these odd jobs, for some reason, coincidentally lead to involving the Shogun. And every interaction with the Shogun leads to a lot of really hilarious moments, but eventually the three get tangled into this internal struggle with the Shinsengumi, which is the Shogun's special police force. And this internal struggle involves backstabbing, a coup, and assassination attempts. And Gintoki does what he does and just offers his services so that way he can get paid. So let's talk about the positives of Gintoki 2. First of all, it's funny as all hell. If you enjoy the comedy of the first movie, you will have a blast with part 2. As expected, it parodies on a lot of Japanese pop culture, whether it be anime or even just the discussion on what an otaku is. There's this whole funny section where they debate on anime and game otaku versus idol otaku, fans of bands like AKB48 and stuff. It's really funny. And there are even scenes that parody that of like Neon Genesis Evangelion and even Tonari no Totoro. And as I mentioned earlier, any scene that involves a shogun is absolutely hilarious. I think the whole entire theater was was roaring in laughter. Well, in any of the scenes that involve the Shogun. And as expected, the performances were really strong. I mean, after all, these are actors who are coming back to portray characters they had once portrayed. And I especially like the duo of Oguri Shun and Suda Masaki as Gintoki and Shinpachi respectively. I feel like their chemistry in this movie is a whole lot better than the first movie. It's just really funny the way they bounce back and forth between each other. And seeing them two on screen together is just a delight. And since this movie centers a lot more on the Shinsengumi, more so than the first movie, we get a lot more screen time with Yagura Yuya's Hijikata and Yoshizawa Ryo's Okita. And seeing them more on screen, I love them in the first movie. I love them even more in this movie, especially Yagura Yuya. He really shows his chops, his comedic chops. But not only that, just bouncing back and forth between being a doofus and being a badass. He really shines in this movie. In the story, Hijikata gets shot up by an unknown assailant with this chip that essentially turns him into this game-loving otaku, and so he bounces back and forth between this weakling who just can't stop talking and thinking about games, taking photos of cosplayers, especially Kagura, to being a badass where his real self is trying to break free from this programming. And seeing him bounce back and forth is a lot of fun. And I gotta say, Miura Haruma is in this movie, and I think he's really recognizable. Miura Haruma played Eren in the live-action Attack on Titan adaptations, and I think for the most part, his performance wasn't all that well received. But in this movie, I think he did all right. I think he's nearly unrecognizable. I wouldn't, if you were to have shown me a photo and even footage of Miura Haruma's character Ito in this movie, I wouldn't even have recognized him until, the only reason I knew is because I saw his name in the credits. And, it just blew me away. Like, he was actually all right in this movie. And of course, the costumes are on point. They look like high budget cosplay, same as the first movie. But I gotta say, one thing that the sequel definitely improved on was the action. I mean, I thought the action to the first movie was amazing, but the action in this movie I thought it was amped up just a little bit more, especially the final battle between Gintoki and Bansai. And especially in the final act, I think the whole final 30 minutes or so was just all pure action. And the way the fight scenes played out, they almost looked like they were transitioning between each other. There were like 3 or 4 different fights taking place in different places, but the way the movie transitioned between certain scenes, between these fights. It looked like they were transitioning back and forth between each other as one smooth, solid piece of choreography, and I love that. And as far as the negatives are concerned, there's not much for me per se, but if I were to pick at anything, is that in the final act, well, particularly the final battle, without spoiling anything, it dives a lot into the backstory of the main villain. A lot of these flashbacks I thought could have been spread out evenly in the beginning and middle of the movie, but instead they were saved towards the end. If they were to have spread these flashbacks leading up until the final act, I think it would have developed the main villain a lot more. But instead they decided to save it until the very end. I'm not sure if that's how it plays out in the manga, but I don't know. In this movie setting, I didn't think it was placed in the right area. But overall, what did I think of Gintama 2? Absolutely loved it. I thought overall it was an improvement over the first movie. That doesn't mean the first movie was bad. They were both excellent movies, but I especially liked the second movie more. And if you're a fan of Fukuda Yuichi's brand of humor and even his regulars, a lot of his regulars make appearances in this movie, including Muro Tsuyoshi and Satojiro. Satojiro plays a different character in this movie compared to who he played in the first movie. And I don't know if Gintama 2 is an accurate adaptation of the original story, but nonetheless, it was vastly entertaining. It was extremely funny, and it's very rare to hear an audience in a Japanese movie theater burst out in laughter, but there are plenty of moments in Gintama 2 that had the audience doing that. So I think that says something for itself. So I definitely recommend for you guys to watch it. If you have a chance to see it in a movie theater, definitely do, but definitely check it out. And yes, those are my thoughts on Gintama 2. What did you guys think, or what kind of questions did you guys have? Let me know in the comment section below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And by all means, please support Asian Filmists through Patreon. It helps the channel a lot. And hey, did you know I started a Discord server for fans who want to discuss about Asian cinema, and not just Asian cinema, just movies in general. So hit me up in the comment section below, say you want to join, and I'll pass on to you the link. And yeah, that's it for me, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you all again in the next video. Take it easy.